Who pays your bills? That is a very important question. And it is the very first thing my CTO asked to me, my now CTO asked to me back in 2013. I was running single-person consultancy, doing some QGIS work, and I got invited over and over by the university to teach master's students about entrepreneurship and open source. And at the end of this one session, 1 year, there was a guy, typical student, right at the back of the room, and he raises his hand and he goes like, "Hey, and who pays your bills?" I was like, "Oh, very good question. Really like that one. One day I'll make a keynote out of it." And no, jokes apart, we didn't know each other, but his question was loaded with a lot of behind the scenes kind of uncertainty on how those open source work together with money. How do we make successful company out of it? And this kind of shaped our journey the whole way along. It was very, very cool for me to get that question and eventually realize that we function very similarly, and we ended up creating OPENGIS together, which is a company that nowadays has 36 employees and is doing a lot of work around, is the second most active committer to QGIS itself. We created QField, so we do a lot of good things that are just out there to be used. And it all started with this question, sort of. But maybe I need to go one step back and go to my brief story of a non-bandit. Why did I start doing open source at all in the beginning? And that is really back at university. At university, we were giving these student packages of Arc Everything. Super cool. You can do anything out of it, or whatever the tool can do. But you get all the license, all the add-ons, and everything. And I, of course, had one of these. I remember it was like a little white foldable. It was 2007, so it was CDs. And I was like, cool, but I want to start my own company. So I knew that during university already, that eventually I wanted to start my own company. And then I wondered, okay, good. First thing I'll do is have to buy this software because I'm not a student anymore. Or I can crack it because I'm a software engineer. I was like, good job. First professional activity, stealing. Really good. I decided not to go that way. And that's why it's a story of a non-bandit and not a story of a bandit. And I started to search for alternatives. And I found UDIG, GVSig, we're talking 2006, 2007, and QGIS version 0.5. And I decided to build a business on top of that. One of my boldest ideas ever, I think, so far. But that's how it started. I did my one-man consultancy for a while. I started doing development in QGIS itself, and then Matthias asked me the question, and then he started doing consultancy, and then we said, well, just make a company together and let's create OPENGIS. And this is how the whole thing started. And over the years, it's been now 11 years in the company, we've been growing from the 2 of us to then 5 people, then 8 people, then 14 people, then 22, and last year 12 new people, so we are 36 now. And we learned a lot. And what I want to talk to you a little bit about today is what we've learned, how we faced it, and what I think might be a good idea to redo and maybe not. The point is that open source is everywhere. I mean, the internet would not be here if we didn't have open source. But it has one major flaw. And that is why I always talk about open source and never about free software. And I'm really sorry, Free Software Foundation, I love the concept, but the naming of the Free Software Foundation was really wrong. It should have been called Freedom Software Foundation or something else, because free brings this stupid concept of no money. And that is how you cannot run a business. We do so much open source because we are able to tell our clients to pay us for it. And the side effects of these are massive, because we are releasing QField for everybody. 500,000 people per month are doing work on a free application because we can charge people for the work that has been done on it. And this is really the main question that I've been asked over and over and over and over. Why should we pay for something that is free? It's like, well, it's open, it's not free. So that's my way to go around that. That's one big thing. And then the other thing that I'd like to discuss a little bit during this is Cathedral Bazaar, the concept of, does it have to be monolithic, one company or multiple company? We'll see when we get to that. Oops, sorry, wrong. For me, open source works in a kind of a triangle thing. We have three things that are extremely key. We have community, we have a product, and we have businesses. If you want to make something work, we need to combine those in a certain way. How do we combine those? How do we push each of them? And how do we keep it sustainable alive? On one side, and I'm going to use QGIS and QField as examples because I know them very well, so I feel comfortable talking about it. One point of the triangle is the product itself. I see that as the brain. QGIS, QField, they solve real problems for people, and that's good. If you have something that doesn't solve problems, it's going to be hard to sell anyway, but for me, it's a very important thing. And here, to solve real-world problems, you need to focus on users' problem. So think about whose problems do you want to solve. That's the first step to make a product that is successful and it is meaningful. And then something that I personally like a lot, is, especially in an open source project, is duocracy. If somebody is just screaming about problems but doing nothing, do not care about that person too much. Get the inputs, yes, they might be good, but that's okay. Somebody that is actually tackling things instead of complaining is giving you help. That's really good for an open source project. And that person needs the merit that he does. So you want something change in an open source project, you can do it. If you're not technical and you say, I cannot do it because I'm not technical, maybe you can find funding or somebody that can help financially. And here, you need to know what your product is. You need to know where you're going with it. Usually when you start an open source project is because you have a need yourself. You start scripting, you start coding, you start spending your nights on it because you like it. And that's really cool because passion drives really cool things. But at a certain point, if you want to scale a bit more, maybe for the people that are investing in it, it's nice to know where you're going. So they just have an idea of what is that you are pushing toward to. Same, we saw here, QField, we have a very clear vision where we say we empower people to map and understand the world. That's where we're going to go. We want people to be able to do cool things on the field with this application. QGIS itself, very clear vision. We are spatial without compromise. That means we try to give you the best spatial visualization and decision making. Doesn't matter who you are. And this is a very clear statement. So think about that. If you have a project that you want to push, think about that. Where does my project fit into the pain of the users? Because the brain doesn't work without a heart. And here is the community. Yes, we have not touched how to pay bills yet, but we are still in open source. And open source thrives on good communities. QGIS has this amazing community behind. I mean, that's very big and very functional. We have a lot of people discussing things. We have a lot of people discussing how to do things, how to evolve things. Partners, volunteers, contributors, paid staff. So it's really a place that needs to be welcoming. If people don't feel well in your community, they don't have the wish to stay or the wish to help. And I think that here the currency is, okay, sorry. Hopefully you heard everything before. I hope the currency here is transparency, respect, and trust. Get those 3 things in your community, or work so that your community is valuing those things, and you'll get a community that works well. We just had a case in the QGIS repository where somebody was threatening that we need to do something within 72 hours, and the answer was like, no, please, have a look at the code of conduct. That's not how we work in this community. The person might have just auto-translated. You know, you need to think about like life is not black and white, foremost when there are a lot of languages involved and auto-translation involved. So you need to be still welcoming and not just saying, no, bugger off. It's, no, please have a look at the code of conduct. That's not how we work. Right at the beginning, not even considering what the question was. And then, to have a body that works, that moves, we need legs. And here is where business comes in. Here is really special, like it's really different depending on what model you go for. You have various ways, and here I'm going to talk a little bit more on how the journey of OpenGIS worked. Here we have things that could be, well, I develop a feature for you and you pay me, and then it's here for everybody. That's a classic way to develop open source. It's like, we need this button, or we need this feature, somebody pay for it, or multiple people get together and pay for it, and we implement it. One thing. Next possibility, services, consulting, training, support. A lot of companies do that. We do a lot of it. Well, you'll see later how we went into detail to that, but services around open source are extremely important, because one of the main arguments, and I was just over in the presentation from Finland, he was saying it's extremely important for us when we talk to management to be able to tell them that there is a market where we can go and get support, where we can buy services from. Because procurement and management do not understand volunteer work in a professional setting. Then we have subscription-based businesses. Might sound trivial. It is fantastic because it gives you a continuous revenue stream and it allows you to work on what you think the product should be. We are doing it a lot with QField Cloud, and it has been a massive changer for us, because we went from having to search for somebody to pay for a feature every single time to having a little pot of money where we can just take money out and pay developers to do what we think is where the product should go, is what we hear from the community that they would like to have. We would like to be able to, I don't know, use one GeoTIFF across multiple projects. Yeah, we could go and sell it to that client or that one, or we can just do it because we have a revenue stream coming in. And this is a really good place to be, I think. And then finally, partnership, membership, sponsorship, donation, the QGIS, that's the classic way for QGIS to get money. That's how, actually, the only way that QGIS gets money is through membership and donations, because QGIS and QField are very different. One is a real open source, open global project with multiple companies involved and a steering committee and a foundation or association, whereas QField is much more OpenGIS driving it, so we can directly be involved as a company there. QGIS has this vibrant, bizarre vibe to it, where things are coming bottom up. People are doing things. It's duocracy. It's a lot of duocracy in QGIS. People are doing what they need to do. They discuss, of course, if it fits the global vision of QGIS and the technical path. But it's complete openness. It's really cool, but it's hard to steer. It's a little bit harder to steer. Not as I'm the chair of QGIS.org, so I'm not talking about steering it politically, but steering it technologically. Nobody can say from the PSC, do that to somebody. Well, we can if we give them a grant or if we pay them to do something because we really think it's invaluable to the whole community and we want that to be happening. But what happens here is really grassroots user-driven development. So somebody needs something, it gets done if he finds financing or volunteer to do that. On the QField Cloud, QField Cloud side, I like to talk of a cathedral with bazaar doers. So we take, it has complete openness, we allow anybody to join, but it's clearly pushed forward by OPENGIS.ch, which has an agenda where we want to go, where we want to be, and we are driving where we are going. So we welcome external contribution, but we are clearly steering the project. As I said before, from my last from my passion and my need for university, we turned into a company of 35 people. And if you ask me now what was the hardest thing you ever had to do in your company, it was hire the first person. Not Matthias, not the CTO, which we created the company together. That was really easy. It was just like, hey, should we do a company? Yeah, let's do a company. Good. And then we just kept on working the way we were before, just under one name. But hiring actually a person that had a child and that suddenly you're responsible for was the toughest thing we did. In 2017, when we hired Mario, we were like, oh, should we really do that? It's, you know, like we could not pay ourselves salaries if we wanted. It never actually really happened, so it was a bit of like unrealistic fear, but still, you're suddenly responsible for another person. That was really hard. Second one, third one, fourth one, really easy. But that was the hardest step. Along the way, I changed my job 7 times, I guess. I had 20,000 different hats on. But I still have no doubts that it was a good way to go. Meanwhile, we are, well, the slide is a bit old. We are in 12 countries. We have 36 people. We have built 14% of the commits of QGIS, and we hosted 2 GeoBeers in Switzerland. So if you're in Switzerland one day, we're happily to share a beer with you. And the question here is really, how did we manage to do that? Well, we have a consulting side of OpenGIS where we are telling people about OpenGIS and all the QGIS things. But specifically on QField, we went very differently. The early parts of QField were completely financed through clients paying for features. Really long time, it was just like Matthias and myself looking for somebody to pay for a feature that we thought was cool, or somebody coming to us and saying, I need that. Then we did some cross-financing from consulting. So we were investing in QField because we thought it's going to be a very good thing. So we were getting money in for consulting and just financing QField. So actually OpenGIS has invested a lot of money in QField itself. Then, as I mentioned before, we built a subscription model and we reinforced the whole thing with sponsorship and donations. Why did it work? I think because we hit a sweet spot of something that was needed and we didn't do it too badly at the beginning, so it kind of gained traction. And we always were always open and had a tight feedback loop with people telling us what we need, what should be done, because they were the one paying for the feature. We also get real features instead of things that we just imagined. To the point, or to get to the point, you should monetize on convenience and not on freedom. So I'm kind of wrapping up a bit faster than I wanted to. But what we are doing is not selling freedom. Freedom is there, it's GPL. Get the code, or even MIT for QField Cloud. They're really open, they are there, you can do whatever you want with it. QField, you install it, and you can do what you want with it. You don't have to have an account, you don't have to have a server. If you have, it will become better and it will have more features for you, but you can do all the work you want without having to pay anybody or sign a term of contract or anything. You don't even have to use the Play Store. You can go to GitHub and just get the package and install it. So we are not touching freedom. Freedom is there because we like that. What we are monetizing is convenience. And that's a really important point. That is the key. If you want to take home something from this presentation, is that slide. Do not monetize on freedom, monetize on convenience. You want people to stay because it's convenient for them, because they like what you're giving them, not because they are bound. And this is a key message of today for me. It's really do that. Integrate things, make things easy. As a company, that's what we do all the time. We try to integrate mobile web and desktop for our clients so that it's convenient for them to keep on working. And we even went further than when we are doing support contracts with people, with companies. We say, look, you buy 10 days of support over the year. If by the end of the year you have not used 4 of those days, well, too bad for you, but too good for QGIS, because we are putting those 4 days not in our pockets as income, but we are putting them into a specific hours account that we have where we do bug fixing for QGIS, because if QGIS dies, our business is gone. You need to take care of your upstream. So you do need to balance community, product, and business. You push one too much, the balance is gone, you fall. It's really tricky, but it's what you need to try to do. Do not just sell and forget upstream. It's not going to work in the long term. You're going to become a bad player. Why does it matter? Because we make a business. I can pay people. They're happy. They can do good work. That means a lot, with an extremely nice side effect. That is, our tools are out there for anybody to use. Thanks.
Thank you, Marco. That was very enlightening to me, being a small consultancy firm and trying to figure out where to go for it. So may want to talk to you more later. Any questions from the audience for Marco? There? Oh, there's.
So just first question, and I'll follow up. Is it fair to say that the QField app is like an integral part of making this triangle work, because it's kind of making you visible and everything? So you couldn't just ditch the app and continue being a consultancy?
No, it's not fair to say. I'd say the other way around. Like, it has increased our visibility a lot in the last years, but at the beginning it was more this cross-financing. I think I can say yes to, if you replace QField to QGIS. We were doing a lot of work on QGIS, that's why we got known. QField was a side project, but it's the fact that we have 5 core committers of QGIS.
Okay, so it's not like
it's more QGIS that pushed us at the beginning, and we used QField on the side. Now we see the QField team growing a lot. So the QField team is 13 people now, out of the 36, where initially it was me, out of 8 people. So yeah.
So maybe a slightly unfair follow-up question: is there a risk of someone forking your app and offering it and not contributing back in any way?
It's not unfair at all. It happened already. There is another app that is a fork of QField, and they create their own app around it, their own ecosystem around it. It has a requirement to have a server. To me, it locks you too much in, but that's their decision. But it's a fork. There is already the other big QGIS mapping field app is a fork of QField.
This might be a little bit of a more intimate question, but I'm just wondering about how you sort of funded the development, because you talked about that you started off as a consulting firm, but how did you make that switch into QField?
It's very easy. If you're a good skier and you have a ski school nearby, you can just teach skiing and work in the evening. And it's really what happened. So I paid my university through shifting all my exam into summer and teaching skiing in winter. And then I knew that with the winter earnings, I could still do survive the whole year as a student. And then I started actually reducing ski school and making more consultancy. I still teach 1 week a year because I love it. But that's kind of how the beginning of the company went. So because I was teaching ski, I could finance my life and build up a company on the side. And the best part was that during, teaching skiing is boring at times when you have really bad skiers. I was skiing and I was just thinking how I was going to code the things that I was going to code. So I got home and I only had to write and not think about how I was coding because I had taught I was very efficient back then. Now I don't code much more. But yeah, that's how I started the financing. Or the very first financing was actually Google Summer of Code, but that was the first 3 months. And after that, it was really me reducing my ski teaching. Yeah. So thanks, ski.
So, in the last year, QGIS grew up a lot, and sometime it seemed that he became more commercial software than community software. And we spoke already yesterday a little bit about this, like Google Summer of Code or other activities. How can you see the future? Because there are two different kind of projects. The one that are really commercial one, like in this moment I can put QGIS, GeoSurvey in a really commercial one because there are big companies behind that are bringing up this software and updating them and so on. Maybe it's just my point of view and you can say, no, it's not true and there are a lot of people that are doing that just for the passion as probably QGIS and most of the software start 20 years ago or something like that. So what is your point of view for future?
If you're being realistic, I don't know, 90% of the work that ends up in QGIS is being paid for to companies that do that. So that doesn't mean though that people are not doing like there is Matthias or Nayal in the company and Matthias and Nayal in the evening. So there is this mixed thing that you cannot recognize what is happening really much anymore. And it's a good thing because especially when there are multiple companies involved and the project still goes forward and there is a fair communication and then things are sorted out, that will make the projects exist. If we were relying for QGIS only on volunteer work currently, it would be a magnitude slower in the way that it goes forward. Now, what the future holds, I think that QGIS is becoming so infrastructure critical in many places that this commercial, I agree with you with the name, it's commercial, will stay and will grow. And I think it's good because we get to be Robin Hood. We get to take from the people that can afford it. We get to develop QGIS and make it better. And it's there for everybody to use. So I think it's a good thing. It's a tricky thing to manage, but it's a good thing because it makes a project survive. What QGIS.org, and now I'm switching a bit my hat, putting my QGIS.org chair hat on, is trying to do is to have more, not really staff, but almost staff that can take care of the project. You know, it's really easy for me to sell a feature to a client. It's really hard to sell maintenance. And QGIS has a budget of 450,000 euro per year, more or less. And with that, we finance a lot of the bug fixing rounds, the grant proposal, the infrastructure that need to be around, documentation works, and so on and so on. And we want to increase that more and more so that we can have pull requests being taken care of. So we get more bug fixing being taken care of. It's a tricky line to walk. It's suddenly you have a company that you're running in an open source project, but I think it's for the good of the project is to go in this direction because it just makes the project sustainable, much more sustainable. And we are at a size that you cannot just expect from people to give their free time for that. But we need to still be so welcoming to those people because they're amazing and we want them to be there, and eventually we want for maybe them to make their livelihood out of QGIS. So you are walking this kind of thin line where you need to balance community and revenue so that the project is stable. But I think in general, it's a good thing for the project to have companies involved because it makes the project much more stable. Yeah. I see much more risk, honestly, in a QField where there is only one company behind. If it was not my company and I know what core values we have. We've seen this multiple times in open source project backed only by one company, then they suddenly say like, I know what, we're not open source anymore. But I know myself, I know Matthias, and that's not going to happen with QField. But the single vendor thing, it's a bit trickier. Foremost, if the license allows the single vendor to do something that in QField cannot happen, even because of licensing reasons. So, yeah.
I believe that's all we have time for questions. And I'd like to thank Marco one more time.